Hello, this is Scotty McCoy. I am the author of the Ultimate Friday the 13th trivia book, and I am doing another book titled The Ultimate Slasher Movie Encyclopedia, and I am interviewing the cast and crew of the Friday the 13th franchise, and I currently have on the phone with me Derwin Jordan, and he played Waylander in Jason X. Hi, Derwin. How you doing?
I'm great, Scotty. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a little cold out. It was snowing overnight, so it's a little chilly out. The benefits of living in Pennsylvania.
I'm from the East Coast originally, but I now live in LA, so it's 80 degrees and fabulous, and I love it.
I bet. So the first question I got for you is not related to Friday the 13th, but it's how did you get your start into acting?
It's funny, as a kid, the arts were really important to my family. We always went to like theater shows and dance shows. My dad was actually a professional dancer when he was younger, and it just kind of stuck with me. I always did plays in high school and that kind of thing. And when I left high school, I didn't know I wanted to be an actor, to be honest with you. And I went off to college and didn't really find anything that kind of jazzed me. And I thought, well, let me try the acting thing. And I got into a theater program and haven't really looked back since.
Awesome. That is so cool. So then what was your audition like for Jason X?
Oh, it was great. I mean, the director was fantastic. I went in the first time, and they had, a scene from the movie that I ended up not being in the movie, and it was when we discover Jason frozen. We've kind of come back to old Earth, which is completely decimated, and we go into that freezer, and we find him there, and he comes out. So it was a scene where we have our trackers on and something is coming up on our sensors. So, the director really wanted, the intensity of, what is this, life form that we seem to be tracking, and is it dangerous, and that kind of thing. So I had about a 2-3 page, scene to kind of do that with not a whole lot of dialogue, but mostly just action stuff. And for me, the audition, I'm African American, and I guess African Canadian, really. When I went into the audition, I told the director straight up, I said, okay, I know the deal with these horror movies, that the black guy always dies early. I said, I'm telling you right now, if I don't make it to at least page 75, I'm walking out the room. And they all laughed. I think that's what got me the gig.
Awesome. That is awesome. And Waylander was one of my favorites in the film because I don't know, something about the character just like went well with me. I just thought you did a brilliant job acting. I mean, I just loved the character. He was a badass. He literally risked himself to save others in the film, and that's what, like, he's one of the few that doesn't die at the hands of Jason in like the franchise.
Well, I actually do. If you think about it, at the end of the movie, but it's near the end, and I was okay with that because I hadn't had a chance to read the whole script when I went into audition.
Right.
So after I auditioned, and they kind of went, to me and said, you're probably going to book this gig, and by the way, you do die, but not till near the end. And I said, okay, I'm okay with that, because he ends up, having the explosives to blow up the ship,
Right.
so everybody else can get away, but he kind of gets caught in there. But I was like, I'm okay with that. I made it to like page 88. I'm okay with that.
True. So then how was your death scene filmed and prepped, everything leading up to it, from the attack with Jason leading to the explosion?
It was great. The guy who played Jason, who was a great guy, who played them throughout all the movies.
Right.
We had this huge kind of battle sequence, where, we're trying to get away. He comes up. I kind of sacrifice myself. He literally, like, throws me across the room.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks I'm already dead. They get into a new chamber. They're like, okay, let's blow the hatch. And they're like, oh no, Waylander still has the remote. And then everybody looks back, and there I am, kind of all bloodied and on my last legs, going, I got you. So, the prep was just us working out that sequence of him coming in, kind of, throwing me across the room, making sure that was going to be all safe, and then be able to cut back to, me kind of lying there, with the detonator in my hand and being able to blow everything up.
Right. So, now, was there a stunt double for him when he threw you?
No. When I went to theater school, I did a sequence of, stunt classes and whatnot, and it wasn't a huge stunt, and they asked us, do you want somebody to double this, but we'd really love to be able to kind of be close, on you. And I said, yeah, I think I can work that out. So it's kind of like a flip and then a fall. The fall, fortunately, they had a bit of pad put down for me, so I wasn't like landing on the hard grate that was there at the set. But most of us in that film actually did most of our own stuff. There wasn't a huge amount of action sequences, and they asked us if we were comfortable with that. And we all were like, yeah, as long as it's, we had a stunt coordinator who was great, who kind of took us through everything. So we all kind of did our own stuff.
Right. Now, the explosion scene, now that was that all like special effects or CGI, or how did they do all that?
It was a combination. They did have some small explosions going
Okay.
off, and then the big kind of engulfed in flames that was done by CGI.
Okay, cool. So, what was the best part about filming Jason X, and what was the worst?
The best part for me was the people I got to work with. We were on that shoot for about 2 months. And part of that, too, is that we actually came in to rehearse for about 2 or 3 weeks before we started shooting. So we really got to know each other, really well. We spent very long days together because with sci-fi, it takes a while, to kind of get filming, make sure everything's in the right place, make sure everything's set up properly. And that cast was amazing. Like, we had a lot of fun, on set, kind of hanging out and joking around. There wasn't really, a worst. The worst probably was is we shot it in Canada in February and it was cold. We were supposed to be, on the spaceship. Unfortunately, the entire shoot took place inside a studio.
Right.
So it was really just getting to the studio in the morning. But once you were there, they had it all set up for us where all of our, trailers and stuff were actually inside the studio.
Right.
So we didn't have to leave for the 10 or 12 hours we were there. So, it was a great time.
That's great. I know I interviewed Melody Johnson and Christy Angus recently. I believe it was last week or the week before that. I interviewed them, and they were really nice, and they said a lot of great things about the cast as well.
Yeah, it was a really great group of people, especially because I knew a couple of people already. Jonathan Potts, who played the teacher, I knew him from before.
Okay.
And I knew Lisa Ryder Cohen as well. I'd known her from before, but everybody else was brand new.
Okay.
Man, it was a great group of people.
Awesome. So what was the most memorable moment about filming Jason X?
Most memorable? That's a good question. I mean, there were so many great moments. I think, the first time we walked into the set of the ship, of the medical bay, and just how incredibly intricate it was. Like, everything worked.
Right.
It wasn't just, the director going, okay, imagine, this is going to be here, imagine that's going to happen there. Like, all the lights and all that entire medical bay where it can regenerate, arms, legs, people,
right.
That stuff all worked. And that was really helpful for us as actors because, again, so much, when you're doing, science fiction can be, okay, imagine this is what you're seeing, but all of that stuff was really there, so it made it easier for us.
Right. So how was James Isaac as a director?
He was great. I mean, he was so detailed because really, so I thought, okay, fine, sci-fi movie, it's all going to be about the special effects and, not going to be any acting involved, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that. But when he brought us into rehearsal, he's like, look, yes, there are tons of special effects. There's going to be a lot of stuff going around, but we do actually need those moments in between the special effects to be solid and true. And he was really about, like, let's connect as actors and make sure that you're actually listening to each other and make those moments true, which makes, the sci-fi stuff even better. Right. And that was amazing. Because I was not expecting that at all.
Right. So, what was it like working with Kane Hodder, who played Jason?
Kane's awesome. Kane, I mean, he's been doing, obviously, playing Jason for a long time, and he has a really fun sense of humor, about the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, he's a huge guy. He's probably about 6'5", and, kind of a very intimidating presence physically, but one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. Like, right. Yeah, he was great.
Awesome. I told Christy Angus this story. I believe I told Melody too. But Kane, the first time he played Jason was in part 7, and when he was on set, they had they ended up having I guess they were on break. They weren't filming exactly, and he was still in full costume. And I guess he had to go. He went into the woods. I guess he had to go to maybe take a pee or something because he was in full costume. He couldn't really go to the bathroom. I don't know how they did it, but anyways, he was in the woods, and I guess one of these little kids came up to him that lived in the area, and they asked him. They said, "Are you filming the new Friday the 13th movie?" And he just stood there looking at him as Jason, and he goes, "You're playing Jason." He just stood there and he kind of lunged at him, and the kid ran, and then the kid tripped over a branch. He said that made his day.
That sounds about right. Kane had a very, very interesting sense of humor, so that story sounds about right.
I read that. It might have been on IMDb. I read it under the trivia of Part 7. I don't know if it's still there or not, but I read it a couple years ago, and that story always stuck with me. And I tried to interview Kane Hodder, and he said that he's very busy, but so he might not be able to do an interview. But so I asked him if he'd be able to at least do the foreword, because I would like him to be a part of the book somehow, because it's a really big encyclopedia book I'm doing. And he said, well, I can't promise you anything, but send me an email, what you need for the forward, and I'll get back to you. And I haven't heard back yet, but I mean, I know he's really, really busy, and everybody tells me that knows him.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's great.
Yeah. So, what was the environment like on set?
I mean, it was busy. There's a lot happening again with a film like that. So many, tech people and the crew, and then it was a fairly big cast, as well. So it was a pretty hectic place. But again, it was a lot of fun. Like everybody, we kind of all knew what it was going to be. And like I said, I mean, our director really, brought us together. Like every morning, he would kind of bring us into his trailer and sit us down and go, okay, here's what we're doing today. Here's what we want to achieve as far as acting goes. Here's what we need to achieve as far as effects and all that. And it was a really strong unit. Like we were already sad once that shoot ended because he spent 2 months with people and literally every day.
Yep.
5 days a week for anywhere between 12 and 15, 16 hours. So you become a pretty tight knit unit, and it was a really great experience. Like from top to bottom, because everybody was invested, and that was because of James. Like he really wanted this to be like a family like environment, and it was amazing.
And I don't know if you knew this, and I mean, I told Melody, she didn't even know, but James Isaac, I'm not sure how long ago it's been, but he actually passed away. I don't know if you heard that.
I did actually. Jonathan Potts, who I told you I know as well, had a chance to work with him out of Vancouver and found out, that he was sick. It was some kind of like blood disorder, I believe.
Oh wow.
Or something like that. Yeah, and it was very sad to hear because he really was a brilliant mind,
Yes.
and a great guy.
And I heard a lot of good things about him. Both Christy and Melody said the same thing. They had nothing but amazing things to say about him. And I wish I could have interviewed him for this because I know I interviewed a few directors from the franchise so far, and I would have loved to interview him. And kind of wish I could. I mean, I wish I could have got into his mind about what he was thinking about when filming this movie. So,
especially because this was one of the biggest films first big films for him as well. It kind of catapulted him into other things.
Exactly. And the last question I got for you is more about you. Do you have any future projects that you'd like to tell the readers about?
Not currently. Right now I live in Los Angeles. Last year I've done a couple of episodes of Scandal. I had been on Sons of Anarchy here in LA. I was also on Community. Funny enough, in a kind of sci-fi role, they did a spoof of Doctor Who. On the show, and I play, the Doctor Who characters, kind of trusty sidekicks. So that was kind of fun to get back to my sci-fi, roots. But yeah, that's what's happening. But I had a couple of episodes of Scandal that'll be running, and that's what's going on.
Okay. Did the Scandal episodes air yet?
I believe it did. I believe my Scandal episode aired in November, but everything runs in reruns. It'll be around.
Right, and I'll also put in the book your IMDb page, so if anybody wants to see what you're into or what you're going to be, be filming or what you're going to be in when the book releases, then they will be able to keep updated on it.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Derwin.
You're welcome, Scotty. It was a pleasure.
All right, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.